Okay, everyone, welcome. Hello, ladies. Tonight, I just feel so warm and happy to have Jessica with us this evening because it's going to be super fun and just like a girls' night. So, we are chatting all about intimacy and how that essentially impacts our life, right? Because when Jess and I have been talking in the past, we really see a correlation between people who are in tune with their femininity, in tune with their intimacy with themselves and others, and how it impacts their life, their creativity, their confidence, and obviously like their sex life and relationships. So, Jessica, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. So, tell us quickly, who are you and like what do you do? And then we're going to just dive right in. If you are watching this, I want you to know that I am super big on you getting specific tools. So in this workshop, we're going to answer all your questions, get really juicy and intimate, and then we're going to give you specific tools that you can start today to help with your intimacy, whether you are single or in a relationship. And if you have more questions, I will tell you now, please message Jess. You'll give us your email and your Instagram, but message her, and she's a wealth of knowledge and will definitely be happy to help you. So Jess, go ahead, introduce yourself, and then we're going to just dive right in.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be talking to you and being with the ladies community. So thank you again for having me on. Again, my name is Jessica Mowforth. I'm a holistic intimacy and relationship coach. I would say that I'm a little partial to the intimacy side of it. Relationships are very much my love and it goes hand in hand, but I just have this fire in me around the intimacy side, especially working with women like you guys who are driven and ambitious and are used to the hustle and the grind and like wanting to just achieve and grow and have the best in their lives. And what I do is I help women that go from the day to day, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, running their own business, building a brand online, to honoring their feminine and learning how to actually surrender to the gentle side of them when they go home, whether that's leaving their home office or their like establishment, their organization, whatever, so that they can tune into their own bodies, their own pleasure, not just so that they can share it with their partner, but so that they can feel it within themselves. Because what I've learned, and I've fully experienced it myself, is when I'm not taking care of my body or when I'm not listening to my body, so many things outside of me are completely disconnected, which then allows us to want to like attach to so many things outside of ourselves in order to feel good or to feel enough or to fill some form of void. Where when we get into our body, when we connect to the pleasure set and the sensuality side of it, not only does it get rid of the need to fill from the outside, but it also opens us up to receive so much more in every other way. And it just kind of lights our creative flow on fire. And bringing that type of energy into your business will catapult your business, whether it's your own business or working for an organization, in a way that we've never been taught as women. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we've never been taught this. So, if you are watching the recording or you're joining us live, I want you to think right now, what is your intention going into this workshop? What do you want to get out of this workshop? And how do you want to continue to evolve in this area of your life? And if you start answering those questions, you'll be able to pick up that information from this. And please reach out to Jessica and ask her these questions if you don't get your intention and you want to continue to evolve. So if you're watching live, pop in the chat box right now. What do you want to get out of tonight? What are your main questions, your current challenges? And write that in. I'm going to continue asking Jess questions, but I want to see your answers as well. So, Jess, you
yes.
mentioned like hustle. And for anyone that knows me, I'm a mindset and business coach. I do not believe in this hustle because it pulls us out of the feminine and this creativity and everything that you're an expert in. So can we talk a little bit more about this masculine feminine, this hustle, this flow? What is it? Right? Like, we have this hustle that's telling us in our world, go, 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 and you have to achieve, you have to do more, you have to be more.
Yeah.
Why is living in that state constantly an issue? And how is it impacting our lives really?
For sure. And that's a great question. And I would start with letting everybody know, for those that don't, is that both men and women embody masculine and feminine energy. This is not talking about the differences between men and women. It's just looking at masculine and feminine energy. And one analogy that I love sharing that help people to understand what that looks like is, if you think of a riverbed, our masculine energy is actually like the riverbed. It's the structural, linear, like form that is held, that moves through. And the feminine energy is like the water that goes with the structure that has been created for it. So when you look at that, it's not rejecting or valuing one over the other. It's understanding that both are essential and how to actually utilize them in your life, depending on what you're doing. What Vanessa and I are doing right now is in our masculine, because we're teaching, we're leading, we're guiding, and we're coaching. That's masculine energy. But when we both get off the computer and we're with our partners or in our home life, that's where we can put our masculine energy aside for a second and come into our bodies and utilize it in a completely different way. So both are essential, both are in men and women. However, we live in a world that we've lived in for a very long time, since creation, that is very masculine. And a masculine way is looking at it like a 24-hour day. That's masculine. Whereas women, we have our 24-hour day, but we also have our 28-day cycle, which is anywhere between 24 to 37, depending on the woman. So we get the beauty of both of that. And even if you're on the pill or not having a full-on period, whatever, you still have the cycle happening within your body. And understanding how that waxes and wanes will really help you. But what happens with women is, when we don't honor our feminine and we're in the masculine and it's just constant hustle, our nervous system is consistently activated. And you can only do that for so long before you burn out. And burnout looks like addictions, whether it's sex addiction, porn addiction, attention, food, spending, coffee, drugs or alcohol, anything like that, social media, the constant need to keep up with the Joneses. But then you also get into this masculine state where you're also very controlling, where you always need to have the lead in something to be one step ahead, where it feels like you're constantly on and not in a turned on way. Turn on is one of my all-time favorite things, because it's where you're lit up about life and you're using your libido to fuel your life in every way. But when your nervous system is activated all the time, it's just this constant state of needing to defend or protect or do, when feminine energy is more about being.
Yeah. I love the example you used too of that riverbed. And it's interesting. Pop in the chat box now, and or if you're watching, I want you to be thinking about, what percentage of your day are you in masculine versus feminine? And it was neat that you said, Jess, like, right now as we're coaching, we're in masculine, because it's funny. I feel like in order for me to be better at my job and to be a better coach, I'm always looking at, how can I get into my feminine even in work?
In work, yep.
Right. And
It's
so
beautiful
it's
to
great.
do that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's chat a little bit more, especially with COVID. Okay. Many of us are working at home.
Oh, mhm.
How do we separate the work and maybe being in that masculine, or need to be in the masculine during work, and then coming back into the feminine, whether we live with a partner or we're going on a date? Like, how do we shut that off and go from boardroom to bedroom?
It's intentional. And it's one thing, and this I talk about with my clients a lot, is around sex and intimacy as well, where people are like, they're waiting for their bodies to be aroused before they have sex. Life doesn't work that way. We need to be a little bit more comfortable with being intentional. And I know that society tells us that everything just needs to be this chemical reaction, chemistry. We hear so much about chemistry and how everything needs to be like fireworks. Well, that's a fantasy. Yes, there's moments of that, but That's not the way partnerships work. Even if you look at partnerships between business partners, friendships, like it just doesn't work that way. So kind of like your relationship with your masculine and feminine, you need to be intentional. So finding things that can separate. So if you're working from home, things that I like to do is I have spaces in my home that are for work and spaces that I will not bring work into. I also know that when I'm done my workday, I have practices and tangible to like objects that separate. So I have different essential oils that I'll
Yeah,
use.
okay, let's go right into this because I am so guilty. I do not separate my work and my like, I need to be more intentional, especially during COVID. Like, both my partner and I are working at home.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I don't get turned on as much. Even though I'm so attracted to my partner. So
Yeah.
let's talk about specific tools, whether you are single or in a relationship. So these will work if you're in a relationship, and even if you're single, you can do these, I guess, before going on a date as well, right?
Well, you can look at it two ways because
Okay.
first and foremost, I teach intimacy not for the partner first. We teach
Yeah.
intimacy so we can create the intimate relationship with us. Because if you're also as a single person, a single woman, staying activated all night, you're also not allowing yourself time to rest and repair, which will also create burnout, and that will look different ways. So it's
Yeah.
important to do this then. Also, if you want to be in a relationship that's more connected, it's great to do these tools now. So you better learn about yourself and your intimacies, where your strengths are, where you'd like to become better, so that you can work on that and bring it into your future relationship. So this
Cool.
very much applies
Let's do
to
this. Are you ready,
everybody.
ladies? Let's do it. Okay, what do we do?
Okay, so breath work is one of my favorites because breath will always bring you into your body. Okay. There's so many different ways, but slowing your breath down is what's going to calm your nervous system down. So,
Oh, okay, wait, I'm gonna interrupt here because I want to really put it through. Like, I want to make this super tangible for you guys
okay.
and for myself.
Okay.
When I ask these questions, half the time it's for me. Don't even worry. So, okay, so so you're saying we need to have a cutoff time of when we stop work.
Yep.
And then we're putting it behind us and we're saying, like, I'm done work for the day. Let's
Yeah.
move into my evening. And
Yeah.
then do we go into like a private space, I guess, like go into your bedroom, go into the washroom,
Yeah.
and then we go into some breath work patterns.
Yes. And this could take 5 minutes. It doesn't need to be this hour-long process. However, the feminine loves to be, I'm going to use this term because I think it's okay in this, but I want you to hear it from a loving place. But the feminine loves to be greedy. Especially when it comes to our pleasure. And the thing is we haven't been
I would
taught
never have expected
it's
that.
okay.
I've never, because so many women, we think we always have to be
Yeah.
nurturing to others. So
Because
I love
that
that
is
you
what
said
we've been
that.
taught, but that's not the way. But when the
Oh,
feminine is actually in her feminine, she's not thinking about what she needs to do for everybody else. She's not thinking in a selfish way of how to manipulate and control to get what she wants. She's just open and receiving it all. It's just naturally coming. And she is now so embodied that she's very open and okay and lovingly accepting everything that's coming to her, even if it's coming from our own self. Right? Like a lot of women are even afraid to provide themselves pleasure, and by pleasure, I don't mean just like orgasms. I mean like an enjoyment of a piece of food or a breathing exercise that we're going to talk about right now. Okay. So with breath, like you can go into your bathroom or your bedroom and just start by giving yourself like a big hug and acknowledging the fact that you are here with your body is with you, and your body is actually what allowed you to get your bum out of bed this morning, to walk to get that cup of tea or coffee, to take you to the couch or the office, wherever you're working. And like that's your physical being that has allowed you to do what you do and what you love to do. So just acknowledging her to say thank you for allowing me to do what I love to do most.
yeah.
And then take a deep breath. I love to do 3 sighs. So like deep breaths in through your nose and just sigh it out your mouth 3 times. That gets your nervous system in a place where it's like, I know that you're here with me, and it's just releasing any tension. Then I love to just give my body a wiggle to just move energy so I'm not so stiff, right? Like
If you're watching, I hope you're wiggling right
it's
now.
wiggling, just shake, like
Wiggle.
move, shake your hands.
Yeah.
When I start like twerking, do whatever if it makes you feel sexy,
I
go
cannot
for it.
work.
You can twerk?
I can't.
I'll, I'll teach you.
Yes,
White girl twerk.
next workshop, how to twerk.
How to twerk. Exactly. Whatever. Just move your body to make that energy move. Because it's easy, especially if we're on computers where we're very like stiff and like here. Where if we kind of move, our body's like, oh, there's more space. We want to create capacity, right? The more capacity you can create inside, the more capacity you'll have for so much more outside with ease and peace of mind, which is ultimately our goal, right?
Yeah.
So then we come into the 4-second breath, and it's where you take four deep, like a deep breath in for 4 seconds. So just deep breath in, hold for 4 seconds, release out your mouth for 4 seconds.
Is this box breathing? Is that another word for it?
You can, yep. There's so a lot of people now that are getting into breath work are changing names.
Got it.
So, but yes, you're right. Yeah. So deep breath in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4. You can do this as many times as you'd like. I would do it a minimum of 6 to 8. And then just kind of be still for a second and like feel what your body feels like. I really love bringing essential oils into this. My all-time favorite is jasmine. And when I mix jasmine with lime, I just find the citrus really opens my brain. Like it stimulates like my brain. So I feel like I get that, I don't want to say second kick at energy because it's not something where I feel fuel to want to go do something, but it just kind of like wake ups my body. And then the jasmine to me is just so light and feminine that it almost just is that tangible tool that human beings need. It's like that sign or whatever that we always want to see. Humans like to touch things instead of just concepts. So that's why essential oils work well. I will also light a candle. So when I'm cooking dinner, if I'm having a shower or a bath, sometimes I even have baths now. Like I try to interrupt the norms where sometimes I'll have a bath after I'm done work. If say I finish work for at 5 p.m. Sometimes I'll have a bath then to take a minute to be by myself, get in my body before I even want to be around my partner. Because it's sometimes not easy, depending on your day, to just switch, right? Like we're not, sometimes we need a minute to be by ourselves. And I think it's so important to have that time and to gift ourselves that time to be on our own. I know that some of us have children and partners, but to even 5 minutes to just be by yourself in a bathroom is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is I'm super big on having some morning routines and evening routines to support your business and your mindset. But what I'm hearing is also having a mini midday routine kind of after work to also release your day
Yeah.
and kind of get into this like sensual mode. But here's
Right.
where I have a question for clarity,
Okay.
because we're talking about how intimacy will help with your creativity as well as wealth and abundance.
Yeah.
If we're only doing this routine like midday, connect the dots for me, right? Like, how will this practice of doing this routine and shutting down work, how will this actually increase our abundance and wealth and creativity?
The more that you are in your body, experiencing feelings, and I don't just mean being taken over by feelings and being led by them, but I even mean like sensational feelings. So I want you to think here's something that I'll bring Tantra in that I love, which is paying. So this can go in many different directions, but when we're talking about the difference between, say, sensuality and sexuality, sexuality could be your orientation, the things that you're into in sexual play, where sensuality is getting embodied through your senses, which is high in Tantra. So your senses are like, what do you see? So you could visualize the way the decor looks in your home. You can visualize the way your body looks in the shower or the bathtub, the way like your backyard is, whatever. What do you see? What do you hear? Maybe you hear the birds chirping, the cars, the kids, the dog. What do you hear? What do you smell? Maybe something's cooking for dinner. Maybe you just lit a candle. Maybe you're smelling essential oils, whatever. What do you taste? Maybe you just taste your mouth. Maybe you taste a sip of whatever you've been drinking. Maybe you've just put essential, like a drop of orange in your mouth or a peppermint piece of gum. What do you taste? And what do you feel? You could look at the feel in two ways. What do I feel in my body? Right now, I feel rested and at peace. Right now, I feel anxious or overwhelmed. Also, what do you feel in your hands? Do you like, what does it feel like to put hand cream on? What does it feel to touch a really soft blanket or a piece of leather? So when you get connected to those senses, it will automatically bring you in your body, automatically calm your nervous system down, and bring you into your feminine. When you're in your feminine, you're open to receive more. Feminine is all about receiving, which is what will then carry over into your business or wherever you are trying to be more ambitious in your life, including your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your friends, your family. You will have more of you to give when you open yourself to receive more. And how that works is being turned on and lit up. It's almost like, when you don't get enough sleep and the days that you're like, when everything is not meant to go wrong, that's when everything goes on. And because you're so stuck in masculine and like tunnel. Whereas when you actually have time to slow down, you find more time. You also receive things not just in like tangible, here's like a puppy or a cake or money. You receive ideas, so you open yourself to be this almost like blank slate. Like, think of your inner being to be like this massive whiteboard that as soon as you connect to your body and those senses, it's like your creativity and imagination has like fired. And now you're thinking of all these, like, you want to build a program, now you've got the entire blueprint for it written out. You want to create collaborations, now you've just thought of 15 people that you want to collaborate with. You want to think of the perfect presentation to go ask your boss for a promotion, now you know how to proposition yourself for that. Okay, so it's creativity that you're bringing in. You also are turning your body on. So you're going to be in a place of arousal. That doesn't mean that you necessarily need to use that energy to just go have sex. It's use that energy to go produce dance or art. Or maybe it is you want to get sexual with your partner and you get to share yourself from that place as opposed to a place of obligation or to be a good wife or a good whatever. That's what you've got to show up as. We haven't had sex in 5 days. I should probably go and do that. Like, that's where your body's actually going to be telling you no, and you should listen, as opposed to being in your body and your body saying yes, where it's like you want to go be intimate with your partner because she's asking for it. And now that's what's going to show up. A great way to kind of think about this is when you're at the gym and you're working out, you're doing the masculine labor of the workout, but you're actually tearing muscles. Your muscles aren't happy with you at the gym. They're breaking down. It's when you sleep and you slow down and you rest and you refuel with good food and water. That is when your muscles grow. That is when fat burns. That is when you detox. That is when you regulate your hormones. So that is the feminine energy. So do you see the importance of why bringing in feminine can actually help be the missing piece to the hustle and the grind, where you could then have everything and feel so good?
Yeah, you know what else I'm hearing? Through intimacy. Okay, I'm going to highlight a couple things that I'm hearing here. Number one is intention. What I'm hearing is through intimacy, it just brings more intention and presence into your life. And so by us neglecting our feminine and this intimacy part doesn't mean you can't get there through other means, right? But it is such a beautiful, beautiful part. And if you are sitting there thinking you want more intimacy, you want more sex, I love that you started off this entire workshop saying you need to be intentional. Don't feel bad about not feeling turned on. But this is also a lifestyle,
Yes.
right? We talked about like the routine in the beginning, but all that I'm hearing when you're talking is it's not about the routine. The routine can help us get there, but this is how do we be more present and how do we be more intentional in our lives?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to pop into the chat box because we have a lot of people saying things. So some people are saying, okay, so here's really interesting. One person says they do a lot of self-care and date themselves, but they're always go, go, go. So there seems to be a disconnect there, right? So I want to talk a little bit more about the illusion of self-care and
Mhm.
how that's actually different than what we're talking about right now.
For sure, because that is massive. So if you're in the bubble bath and scrolling your cell phone, that's not self care. If you're eating like foods, but none of it's ever prepared by you, it's just healthy food on the go, but you're on the phone while you're eating it, that's not self care. If you're like, you really want to slow everything down, and you talk about this a lot as well, is the amount of time that you can actually find when you start slowing down is it's being intentional with actually putting your phone on airplane mode, and literally you're choosing to do your breath work practices in the bathtub, or you're doing a self pleasure practice, or you're making a date night for yourself to actually get into and create a pleasure practice for you. That doesn't have to be super scary. It can start simply as putting your hand over your vulva and acknowledging her, or doing a
We're gonna
breath,
go here because I want to talk about like pleasure
which
practices.
is my all-time
Yeah.
favorite, as
So
you
so
know.
hold
So
on those because I want to continue answering this and a couple more questions. But yeah, like what I'm hearing from you too, and we talk about self-care and people talk about face masks and baths and all
that's
that,
not,
but
mm-mm.
it's not enough, and that's not it. I need you to pay attention to how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And like we said before, and like Jessica was saying, it's a way of life. It's not like, okay, here's my self care, check, and
Yeah.
then you move on and you turn it off.
Yeah.
It's moving from your head to your body, like Jess said. Like, how do we live in your body?
Yeah.
And let me know, ladies, in the chat box if this is resonating with you, because here are those blind spots where we move from like what you know to who you are and who you show up as every single day. Like your way of being is different than what you're doing. Stop doing things like Jess said, like, oh, we haven't had sex in 5 days. Like, oh, we need to check that off. No, you need to move into your body.
And to play on exactly what we just said by saying getting out of your head and into your body, the best way to do that is to ask your body what she needs and stop trying to think what you think she needs, right? Like self care doesn't look like having a bubble bath every single night. If your body wants to go and have a temper tantrum because she's been carrying anger or grief or rage, that's self care. So taking a minute to do your like a couple deep breaths and put your hand over your heart, hand over your womb, and say, body, what is it that you need right now? Is it like a super homemade like dark chocolate cacao? Is it a cry? Is it a hug from a friend? Is it like an elaborate 6-course meal that you prepare for yourself? Maybe it is a bubble bath. Is it a bubble bath? But what kind of essential oils do you crave? Is it one that you want like lavender, or does your muscles hurt from being on a computer and you want something more like eucalyptus? Like get into your body and ask her what she needs. And I promise you, one, it will make your life easier because you'll be able to stop thinking so much. And two, you're actually giving her what she's asking for. And the more you listen to her yes, the more you'll hear her no's. And the more you listen to the no's, the more you will be naturally guided through life. And you'll start to be able to ask your body, is this a partnership that works for me? Your body will tell you no. Is this a business collaboration that is in alignment with my values and beliefs and my vision of my business? Your body will tell you yes or no. Is this food that is actually good for me? Even like keto all over the place says that this is so good for you. Ask your body, is this good? It'll probably say no, but you'll start to learn even foods that are portrayed as healthy are not necessarily good for your body. And that's the beauty of a woman, is that we have that inner knowing. Like think of this, and I say this line all the time. We have the ability to create life in our body. If we can create humanity, and humanity would no longer cease to exist without us, what else can we use that space and that energy to create and have and build, right?
It's cool. It's like magic.
It
Okay,
is.
one more comment about this, and then we're going to move to another question. So, a couple comments in here saying like no phone in the bubble bath, mindful eating, but they're still in ah mode. What is that telling you? And what are maybe some questions that these types of people should be asking themselves?
Good question. I would start journaling a lot and ask that.
Mhm.
Body, what is holding you back from relaxing? What is it that you're needing? What is it that's not working for you? And leave it at that. Like check in with your body and also ask yourself, like, what are you hoping to achieve? Like mindful eating and taking baths, what are you doing that for? Right? If you're doing it because Instagram tells you that's what you should do for self care, then it may not be connected to you. So getting very curious about you and what the missing may be. But you also want to be mindful of the mindset around those questions. You don't want to come like bulldozing yourself and feeling guilty and shame that this isn't working, because that's not the way women work. We're so individual and we can change on a dime. What you wanted 5 minutes ago for dinner could be completely different for when you get off this call. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's inherently the way women are, right? Our hormones are all over the place. It's like a beautiful disaster, right? Like nature knows what's happening. So it's getting in and saying, okay, if my nervous system feels activated right now, body or nervous system, what is it that you need? What would you prefer over this? Okay, I'm having a bath and I still feel activated. Let's like breathe into the space. Ask yourself this question: what am I feeling right now? Overwhelm. Where in my body do I feel that? In my chest, hand on your chest. Breathe like gold or whatever color comes to you, light into your chest. Is there any shapes that you are seeing when you close your eyes? Are there any textures? Is it sharp? Is it soft? Is it whatever? What colors are coming up for you? And then just be with that. Now, the world, our life wants to tell us to figure it out. Why is this working? Why is this not? That is where I want you to let go of all of the outcomes. Okay. You may not know that bubble baths aren't working for you today. You may find out the answer in 17 days, right? After the 17th bath that you've tried, all of a sudden, this is why it's not working.
Mhm.
Your body will tell you when she's ready. And oftentimes she'll wait until you slow yourself down, silence yourself enough to hear her, because she speaks to you like this. And not like this and go, 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 right? But if your brain is that, it's like she's like, I'm not about to play chicken and run across a highway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think you honestly just hit it on the head, right? It's moving from that doing
Mhm.
into that being, that slowing down. And I describe it as really looking at the thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts when you're doing those things? Like you just said, like, if this isn't working or this is working, right? It's starting to change how you speak to yourself. And this is just a general comment, but your relationship with your external world, right? Like what you're doing, other people, and even all of these do. It's just a symptom of your relationship with you.
Yeah.
So, what I'm hearing in these questions, it's just continuing to deepen your relationship with you,
Yeah.
right?
And having a lot of compassion with
Yeah,
that. If you've just spent the last 20 years of your life living in a hustle, it's going to take more than a workshop that tells you to slow down to
yeah,
be able to slow down.
yeah.
And resistance will come, right? And it's not saying that the resistance is here that means I can't do it. It just means the resistance is here. I got told that this is going to happen, and now I welcome you and I love you and I know that this is hard and we're going to do it together. This is you and like your body having a conversation, right?
So good. I love it. I love it. I'm big into soothing. So, Jess, you're speaking my language, right? Yeah. So another question coming in, this person in their career, they are needing to be very masculine, which is
Yep,
very common.
yep,
And because of COVID and over the past couple of years, they've put on a fair amount of weight,
okay,
which has also meant because they're always in the masculine, they put on weight, they feel very disconnected from who they are and they're feminine. So she feels like she doesn't own her body anymore. What would you tell this woman? And how can you help her to get back into and find her feminine again?
So that makes a lot of sense. It's funny. Give me 3 seconds. I'm gonna turn a light on because it was super
Oh,
bright. And
yeah.
I feel like I'm having a seance with my salt lamp right now. So three
No
seconds, and then I
worries.
love this question.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I see other questions in here. So we are going to get to those, not to worry. And then we are going to talk about pleasure practices and how to get into your body. So stick with us. So Jess, go for it.
Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense because when we are constantly in our masculine and not in our feminine will start to feel abandoned. And then it goes into the feeling of needing to protect. And the best way a woman's body innately knows how to protect is by putting on weight. I also see this with a lot of clients that have gone through sexual trauma. Is
Can you
there
talk about this a little bit more? Why does the feminine protect through weight?
because the more weight we have, the more it's protecting us from external,
Got
right?
it. Yeah.
Emotional.
Okay.
And this is how I
So
see
it's
this
like a
even.
wall almost.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
literally so what it is think of when you're disconnected from your feminine and you're in your masculine, and you then, because she even said it herself, she feels disconnected, right? Meaning her feminine feels unsafe. The best way to protect is to build a wall. You've got to protect yourself. You feel unsafe, whether physically or emotionally, you are unsafe, and you've got to be able to build something to protect yourself. If not, you're constantly in survival mode, which is what looks like severe breakdowns, right? So what happens in that phase is women can, and even men can do this as well, put on a lot of weight. And like I was saying, is I see this a lot in my clients that have had sexual trauma, is they'll put on weight to protect themselves. They're going to be less desirable. They're harder to kind of like grab and throw in somewhere. Like there's jokes made about that in memes, but it's very real and not funny at all. So we do that innately, even when we are driving ourselves and rejecting and abandoning our feminine, and she's just wanting to be protected. You can even look at this there. I forget, they spoke about it in like war times about people wanting to put on weight before these things, expecting almost like a famine, because then they've got more on their body to survive through it, right? So what happens is when you're feminine, she feels threatened and abandoned. She then puts on weight because she's in survival mode, and she's like, I don't know if I'm going to survive. I'm going to hold on to this, because if all of a sudden I get even less than what I'm getting now, I need to know that I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful. We're getting comments. Yes, you're 100% right on this. So let's dive deeper. I want to talk about how can we come back into our feminine again? And how can we come into our body? What are some other tools that we can practice? And again, this isn't going to happen overnight, but
No.
how can we start that journey and become connected again?
So come back to like the riverbed and think of you being the water right now. So like even if you took a couple minutes to like close your eyes and do your breath and think of a river, let the river that shows up in your life show up the way it needs to look, right? Like you're just going to close your eyes and think of a river, and it's going to look whatever way she wants to look right now. And just kind of then, as you're visualizing the water moving, you're looking at your feminine. This is going to help you connect to your feminine when you're not so in tune and aligned with her that you need. It's almost like when you start meditating, and meditating to silence is very hard. So you start with like a guided meditation, and then musical meditation, and then silent. So if this is going to help you actually visualize the water moving, and in that ask questions silently or out loud. What is, like, I always speak to my feminine as like my younger self, or just like myself. So you can even say like Vanessa, little Vanessa, high, like whatever, feminine Vanessa, whatever works for you. What is it that you need? How was your day today? You can even ask questions like, where did you not feel seen by me today? Where did you not feel supported? If I supported you in the way that you wanted to, what would that look like? What can I do for you right now? What are you feeling right now? Where in your body do you feel it? You can pretend like you're actually speaking to somebody else as you're visualizing, and you'll start getting answers, and you just naturally know it's about you. And the more you practice this, the more it's going to come innately to you. You will then notice in your river experience, she feels scared because she feels alone. Now, all of a sudden, when you are hustle and grind in the middle of the day, you're going to feel that sad, almost emotional, like a tears coming in your heart out of nowhere. You're going to have a great meeting. You're going to get off and you're like, that meeting went 3 hours longer than it was supposed to. And then you're going to get this sad feeling in your chest. And instead of being like, I just need another coffee, or that's weird, maybe I'm hormonal and now see how I'm going into judgment. Instead, you're just going to have this reconnection to you. You're going to have this knowing, like, my little girl, like my feminine side is saying that meeting went 3 hours longer than it's expected. I need to eat something right now. I need to stand up. I need to do some stretches. I need to do some breathing, and I need a warm tea, and I need to close my eyes and not look at a screen or technology for 5 minutes before I get on my next call. And then
Ladies,
she's going to feel
yeah.
heard.
Ladies, you need to start talking to yourselves more. You need to start like speaking. Do you hear how Jess is speaking to herself? Like, start talking to yourself, start improving that relationship, start listening to your body speaking to you, because it has a lot of answers and it's coming back into your intuition and into this flow. So let's speak pleasure practice, because in a funny way, this speaking, it is a pleasure practice in a way, but
100%.
we can also take it one step further. So what is a pleasure practice, and why do we need one? Or why is it fun to explore one?
This is like my favorite. Like, this is like the juice of what I do. And to segue into that from what you just said is how Vanessa just said we need to start learning how to talk to ourselves. Ladies, I want you to ask yourself this question: is how many of you struggle to ask your partner or past partners for what you need, sexually or not? If you do not feel comfortable speaking to yourself, you will never feel 100% confident and comfortable in speaking to your partners from your feminine. And from your feminine, I mean what you truly need, want, and desire, not just what you think that you should want based on what society says is sexy or not. Okay. So this is why it's also so important to learn how to have that conversation with you, so that you then bring that confidence and that intimacy in your partnership, so you can fully get what your body wants. Okay. So leading into pleasure practice. So pleasure practices can go anywhere from literally your hand on your heart and your hand on your womb, or your hand over your vulva and just breathing. Okay. And then it can go all the way to the other end where you are fully nude with like
Wait. I want to pause for a second. Okay. Ladies, in the chat box right now, how do you feel right now? Because I know when we talk pleasure practice, some people can get really excited, some get nervous, some might get disgusted. Pay attention to what's coming up for you right now. This
it's
can be,
gold for you.
yeah, right. This can be because of religious, past experiences, trauma. Put it in the chat box. Only we're going to see it. And let us know how you're feeling, because this is really important for you to build on. And this is where, like, Jessica helps people to move through these feelings so that you can find more intimacy and pleasure in your life. So, okay, continue, because I wanted to make sure to highlight that for everybody.
100%.
Yeah.
And if any of you are feeling only all of the negative things and not any of the positive, know that when I start with clients, that's like 98% of you.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I get somebody that's like fully empowered and open in all areas.
Yeah.
Vanessa said it. Religion is massive, school, our parents, just the systems that we've lived in, especially in North America. It's very hush hush. There's a ton of guilt, there's a ton of shame, there's a ton of obligation, and I'm seeing it come up. I feel weird. I feel like there's so many things. We've also been programmed to be a certain way, which is actually very opposite to what our bodies want. So when you get taught about sex through porn, your body does not actually one, work that way, two, want that, three, is anywhere near connected to intimacy. But when you have been taught that that's what sex looks like, and then you wonder why you feel weird and uncomfortable with your partner, that's because you've been taught for years and literally programmed to be something that you're not in order to be good enough for either your partner or whatever it is that you're doing. So, and the reason why it's important to have a pleasure practice is because women, and this can come back to the riverbed as well, like we are flowy and we need to constantly cleanse out. We have our menstrual cycle to cleanse out. Like we are very watery. Okay. So a woman,
That's very sexual, actually. We're
well,
very wet and wild.
unintended. And you really want to love on that. Like our
Yeah.
bodies are meant to be wet. A vagina and a vulva is constantly wet, right? There's so much to do with water and femininity, which is why you hear the people talking about like mermaids and stuff and the sensuality
Actually, I know someone in the chat box right now is a mermaid.
is a
Which
mermaid.
yeah, yeah.
I
Like
bet
she
she-
does mermaid stuff, and that's so fun. See?
yes,
Yeah.
me.
So if you want to reach out to her, her Instagram is Ocean Mermaid Page,
I love it.
Paige.
I
So
love
let me share with you, if you're watching the replay, what some people are saying right now, that they would like to feel more comfortable and want to feel more empowered, because of past programming, they do not. People need to be listening more to their body. They feel like they would love to be able to talk about this sort of stuff without the shame and embarrassment. Here's something that's really big. They want to be able to share with more women. That's why we're having this chat. And maybe this is something that we can continue to have. So if you want to see more of these chats, and when before COVID, we would have like goddess nights. This is kind of like this, Jess. So maybe Jess and I should talk and do some more of these,
we
because
should.
we should be able to speak about, I don't like saying the word should, but we'd like to be able to speak about these things with other women. And this is that, like, where that woman support can
It's
really
so
build that
needed.
foundation.
This is where women came from. Like women's periods sync with each other's because we are meant to get pregnant together and have babies together to help take care of all of
Really?
the
Guys, who wants to have babies with me?
right, like that's why. And so that when we get our periods also we can take care of each other and stuff. Like women are so connected, but there's some more programming as we're also very much conditioned to believe that I can't trust you and you can't trust me because we're in competition with each other, which that is so one the opposite, because women, what we can create together is far more superior than what we can create separate. Like men can do that. Women, I'm telling you, find women. Women need women more than they need anything else in their entire life. Okay.
Okay.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. We got lots of comments coming in here.
Okay. One thing that I want to just kind of
yeah.
put something, I was on a forum the other day, and I hope this brings some sort of ease to someone's mind, but it turned into like a 700,000, it went viral, like thousands and thousands of reshares, like actually probably over 1 million now, talking about the starfish. So a starfish is when a woman will just lie there and her man is on top.
During sex.
Yep, during
Yeah.
sex. So missionary, and she's just lying there. She's not like elaborately moving her body and crazily moaning and doing anything. She's more just in a starfish position. And it used to, and still is very much shamed, where even back when we were very young, people would get made fun of for being a starfish, where it went viral, this comment about, listen, I love starfishing. It's my all-time favorite position. I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. And the amount of reshares of women in gay relationships, straight relationships that were like, and not only were it women that love to starfish, but other partners saying that they love when their partner starfish because they could feel her in her body. She's not thinking about how she needs to sound. She's not thinking about how she needs to move. She's feeling him or her. She's being with him or her. So if that brings any peace to any of you, that you don't need to be this insane like acrobatic porn star to actually be potent in your partnerships and your sex lives, you just need to be in your body. And that means you could be in a starfish fish position, and it's going to bring you that much more pleasure to you and to your partner. Amen.
Amen.
That's more of the preaching.
Amen. Okay, so we're coming up to an hour, but we're probably going to go over a few minutes. Jess and I could talk forever, but I
Yeah.
want to make sure we give some specific pleasure practice suggestions and tools that we can start building a pleasure practice.
So the ones where I would say start, you never want to jump headfirst. And if any of you want to create one specific to you where you get more advanced, please message me and we'll work that way. You never want to start there, because you'll actually hear this very clearly. When you push your body to perform or push your body to pleasure, you're then out of your body and in your masculine and attached to an outcome, and you will cause more tension, more numbness, more harm than the intention of wanting to create one in the first place. Very important to hear that maybe 10 times over. Okay. So where someone can start is waking up every morning, putting your hand over your vulva and saying, "Good morning, beautiful." Connecting to your body and your femininity, to just imagine every morning you say good morning. You could take that one step further, where you can grab a hand mirror that could be kept on your side table and spread your legs, and even for 30 seconds just look at her and say good morning. Observe the shine of her, if you have pubic hair, if you don't, the way you look, the way your labia is, whatever it is, just look at her. Whatever thoughts come up, okay, cool, let them go. Observe her. Good, bad, or indifferent. You'll have different things come up, different days, whatever. Just observe and love on her. Okay. Then you could take it a little bit further, and then you could do a little bit of a massage around your arms, your legs, your inner thighs, across your tummy, maybe a little bit of a breast massage. You could do even a labia massage, or just all around your vulva. A vulva, for those that don't know, Siri wants to help.
Hello, Siri.
Siri's like, I'll give you all the details. Your vulva, by the way, is when you look down at anything, that's not a vagina, that's your vulva. Vagina is like the vaginal canal. You can see the entrance, but it's your vulva. And just kind of like giving a whole vulva massage before, because I know that we're already going over, but before you ever do any sort of penetration, whether it's with a crystal wand, your finger, your partner, whatever, you always want to ask your vulva and your vagina permission. Okay. How cool is this? If, say, we are using your hands and you put your finger over your vulva before you enter, say, "Are you ready to receive? Do you want something inside of you?" Whatever way you want to ask it, you'll know, because she'll suck you in. She will pull you in. She will want it. Okay. Even with your partner, play with him or her, whoever. And if she wants to receive inside of her, she will ask. There will be times where you will be by yourself, and say you're using a crystal wand, and there will be times where your brain says, "I'm horny and I want to do this," and she says no, because what she wants is you to actually connect with her through maybe heart to heart. Maybe it's a cry. Maybe it's like, "I feel horny because I'm stimulated," when really I'm trying to grieve the loss of a job or a partnership or a friendship or something, where I feel like I need to actually release in different ways. And she's saying, "No, I don't want you to just have some form of an orgasm or internal penetration. I want you to fall apart or break down or dance or eat," something like that, right? We can find pleasure in our food. We can find pleasure in dance. We can find pleasure in creating in any way, painting, all of that. So it's checking in with your body first. That's a pleasure practice. A pleasure practice could be the intention that I'm going to paint. Maybe you light a candle, dim the lights, and do it naked, right? That could be a pleasure practice. When people hear pleasure, they think sex. And that's where it's so manipulated. And it's almost like, if you feel pleasure, it's wrong, because then the pleasure is going to take over. You're going to make these bad decisions. You're going to get pregnant before you're married. And then all of a sudden the world you're going to burn, right? Where it's not like that at all. God created sex. We came from sex, right? Where that came from is soul ties, where sexual energy is so potent that when you're with another partner, you're actually at that moment in time one. Your energy is going into them.
Mm.
Their energy is coming into you and you're leaving some of your energy, they're leaving. So not only do you lose a little bit of yours, but you take on some that's not. And if you're having multiple partners, you lose a lot of you, which maybe you're doing a ton of personal work and you're evolving, you're leaving your great energy, and then you're sleeping with people that are not taking care of themselves. And you wake up the next day feeling totally overwhelmed and you don't know why. That's because it's not your overwhelm, it's theirs. So that's why there's not conversations in church, but that's where the mindset around don't have sex till you're married is because of soul ties. Now, if there was more conversations about it, that's what they would talk more about, is because of the potency of sexual energy and not wanting to share that with many other people, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but we
Very
can
good.
keep
Yeah.
going.
No, I love the talk of pleasure practice and the examples that you gave, like painting naked. I
Yeah,
mean, it's that creativity that we were talking about before. How do
yeah,
you be more creative? How do you tap into that? And how do you just connect with yourself?
yeah.
Right? I'm going to ask a couple questions, but we are coming to an end. So if you have any other questions, put them in the chat box. We are going to be finishing up. Please reach out to Jess. Jess, what is your Instagram? How can people get a hold of you?
Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. It's just my name, Jessica Mowforth, which I think you'll be able to see up, but Mowforth, and then Jessica in front of it.
Yeah, so good. Any other questions as we finish up here? And Jess, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to just kind of throw out there right now?
There's many things we didn't talk about because we could talk for hours,
Yeah.
but I would just come back to remembering femininity is not perfection. So, and it's also not goal oriented. It is not about the outcome. So I don't want you to be thinking of, I want to have more orgasms, or I want my body to feel this way, or let go of the expectation and just say, I'm choosing to be with my body. Body, what would that look like for you? And then listen.
So good. I think that is a perfect note to end on. If you ladies who are watching us live have any other questions, put them in the chat box. If not, I just want to thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank
And
you.
yeah, and for committing to yourselves to bring more intimacy, creativity, and confidence, and sex, and abundance and wealth into your life. And Jess, thank you for turning your pain into pleasure and sharing that with everybody else and helping other people to do the same, because your work is so powerful and you're truly helping people to just shine from within. And it's such a gift.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Somehow it popped
Okay.
off, but there we go.
Let's see if there's any. Everyone's just saying thank you. Thank you. If you are here, you are here for a reason. So thank you again for taking this time. We will see you on our next workshops, and we'll reach out with you and send you the replay. Yeah, tomorrow. Okay.
For sure. And I'm sure we'll do it again. But Vanessa, again, thank you so much for having me on. I always love hanging out with you.
You are so welcome. I know we could do this all the time. So if
All
you guys want to see more of these, I know everyone is saying they love this chat. Just send me a note and let me know, and then I can coordinate it. So have a good evening, everyone. We will chat with you soon. Bye for now.
Good night, guys.